Hello everyone, we start with another chapter this week. This week we are going to start with chapter number 10, which is file input and output. Now, up till now, what we have learned how to take the data and how to enter the data or how to show your output. We are either using a console, or you have seen that when we use the swings, we have used the text boxes to take the input from the user or to display the output to the user. So until now, what we have been doing for input and output, we have been using either the console or text boxes in the swings or things like this. But now we are going to start with file input output. So file is another way of taking your input from the user or storing the output, whatever the user has into a file. So this chapter we are going to talk about files. Now, we have used the variables and arrays also for storing the data inside the program. Now, using the variables and arrays for storing the data inside the programs has problems like data can be lost, or large volume of data can be quite difficult to handle. So a file is a better way to store the data for taking the input or for storing the output. So file is nothing but it's a collection of related records. It's placed on the area of the disk. Alright, now before we go ahead with the files, let's talk about a concept of the stream. What is a stream? Now, in case of file processing, input refers to the flow of data into the program and output refers to the flow of data out of the program. So in case of file processing, we have two things. One is input and another one is output. So input means, so we have a program and we have a file, right? So input means flow of a data into the program from the file. So this is called as input. We are taking the input from the file and this is called as input. Output means the flow of data out of the program. So when we flow the data out of the program into the file, this is called as output and this is called as input. So that means when the data flows from file to the program, that is called as input, and when the data flows from the program to the file is called as output. Now, we have seen that input to a program may come from the keyboard, it may come from the mouse, it may come from the memory disk or any other thing, and same thing, output from a program may go on the screen, it may go on the printer, it may go to the memory, it may go to the disk. Alright, although these devices we have used and we have done the use of it, but now in this chapter we are going to talk about how to take the input from the files and how to store the data into the files. So Java uses a concept of stream to represent the ordered sequence of data, a common characteristic which is shared by all input and output devices. So what does a stream means? Stream is an object that enables the flow of data between a program and some input-output device. That input-output device can be your screen, it can be your disk, it can be any type of input-output device or a file. So stream is an object that enables the flow of data between a program and some input-output device or a file. So we have two types of stream. One is called input stream, another is called output stream. When the data flows into the program, that is called as input stream. So when you take the data from the file and it flows into the program, that is called as the input stream. Input stream is also called as reading a file, because you are taking the data from the file, it is also called as reading. If the data flows out of the program, then the stream is called output stream. So whatever you are sending to the file, that is called, or whatever you are sending out from the program to the file, that is called as the output stream. So output stream is also called as writing into the file. So these are very important concepts over here. Let's go ahead. Now input stream can flow the data from the keyboard or from a file. So in case of input stream, this is what I told you, the data flows from file to the program. So input streams can flow from the keyboard or from the file. For example, you have used system.in, especially when you are using the scanner class. So system.in, it's an input stream which takes the data from the keyboard. Output stream can flow the data to the screen or to a file. For example, system.out in the system.out.println. So system.out is an output stream that connects to the screen. These are the few primitive input-output stream methods that we have been using until now. But in the file handling or file input-output, we are going to talk about many other methods. Alright, now coming to the file, we can have two types of the files. One is text files and another one is binary files. Text files, as you all are aware, contains the text data. For example, this PowerPoint or Word file, TXT files, these are all text files. Text files are those files which can be read by the human, which can be edited by the human, which a human being can understand. So the files that are designed to be read by human beings and that can be read or written with an editor are called as text files. Text files can also be called as ASCII files because we use the ASCII coding scheme for converting the data. Advantage of text files is that they are usually the same on all computers, so that they can be moved from one computer to the another. Now coming to the binary files. Binary files are in the form of something like this, 10111. So binary files, they are also called as sometimes machine files. They cannot be read by the human beings. Now there are two types of streams also, because we have two types of files, text files and binary files. So we have two types of stream. One is called as byte stream, another one is called as the character stream. Byte stream is used to create binary files, and binary files is the memory image of the data. That means it stores the data in the form of the bits. Binary files are faster to read because no translation is required, but they cannot be read with the text editor. As a human being, you cannot read that file or understand that file. Whereas character streams, they are used to create text files. These files can be read with the text editor, and Java automatically converts Unicode characters to the local machine representation. These files are slower to read as compared to the binary files. Why? Because translation is required, because for the text files they will be translated to the machine language, then they will be stored on the disk. Again, for when we want to read a file, again they need to be converted into the text and then it will be displayed on the screen. So they are slower. In this chapter we are going to cover both the types of the files, how to read and write into the text files and how to read and write into the binary files. But first of all, we are going to start with the text files, and we are going to elaborate much on the text files rather than the binary files. Binary files we will have an idea, but we are not going to talk much in detail. Alright, going ahead. So text files and binary files, files that are designed to be read by programs that consists of a sequence of binary digits, they are called as binary files. And binary files are designed to be read on the same type of the computer with the same programming language. Advantage of binary files is that they are more efficient to process, they are faster to process. And also binary files have, Java binary files have advantage that they are platform independent. So how do you perform the input-output, file input-output? First thing is you import java io.star, because all our classes that are related to handling the file input-output, they are in the package IO. So how are you going to do it? There are 3 steps. First of all, we are going to open the stream, input stream or the output stream, right? So if I go back, input stream or the output stream. If I want to read from a file, I am going to open the input stream. If I want to write into a file, I will open the output stream. So I have to, first step is I have to open the stream. But if I am doing both reading and writing, then I have to open both the streams. Then I have to use the stream, read, write or both. Then after using that stream, I have to close the stream. So these are the 3 steps which we need to essentially do it. Alright, now what are the files or the classes required for the text files? I am first of all talking about text files. I will talk about for the text files first in detail, and then we will move on to the binary files. Alright, so for the text file, so text file output, that means writing to the file. So if you see over here, to the file means I am writing into the file. So we have 2 methods, read and write. So we have 2 different classes for both these operations. Wherever you see the word to the file, that means I am writing to the file. Wherever you see the word from the file, that means I am reading from the file. Alright, so for output, output means I am writing, input means I am reading. Alright, so the classes required for writing into a text file are print writer and file output stream, or file writer also. Instead of file output stream, you can use file writer. For reading from a file, you need buffered reader and file reader. Now, file output stream and file reader take file names as argument. Both these methods, file output stream and file reader, they take file names as arguments. Print writer and buffered reader, this print writer and buffered reader, these provide useful methods for easier writing and reading. Normally we need a combination of these 2 classes, and to use these classes you need to import, write like this, import java.io.star. Now the rules for how the file names should be formed, you know that how the file names are given the names. First of all, we have a name of the file. We always give a name of the file, dot followed by its extension. Text files always have the extension .txt. Like your Excel files have the extension .xls, document files have .doc, but here, since we are dealing with the text files, whenever we are going to save a file, create a file, write a file, so we are going to give it a name, whatever the name we want to give, followed by .txt extension. So when a file name is given, it is just a string and not a Java identifier. And suffix .txt has to be used, which means that which is the extension of the file. So a file name has 2 names. Every input file and every output file has 2 names, the real file name and the name of the stream that is connected to the file. Actual file name will be used to connect to the stream, and the stream name serves as a temporary name for the file. Now, first of all, let's talk about writing to a file. Class is print writer, and it's a stream class which can be used to create write into a text file. And object of the print writer has the method print and println. So print and println methods are used to write into the file, and print writer class is a stream class which is used. These are similar to the system.out methods of the same names, but they are used with the text files. So whenever we are going to write into the text file, what are the files we need to export? As I explained you earlier also when we were doing exception handling, that with the file input output we need to have exception. So the set of import statements when we are writing into a file, if we are when we are writing into a file, we will have java.io.printwriter, java.file output stream, java.io.file-not-found-exception. So class printwriter, it has no constructor, it cannot take file name as an argument. File output stream takes file name as an argument. So to convert a file name to an object, that can be used as argument with the printwriter constructor. So how to provide the file name by using printwriter and file output stream? We use it in combination. So we will make the object of the printwriter, it can be anything, it can be A, B, C, whatever, is equals to new printwriter. In the bracket we will give new file output stream. Please make sure of the letters which are capital F, O and S, and in the bracket we are going to specify the name of the file. Now one thing more you need to note it, your file should be in the same directory or in the same folder where you have saved your program. If your text file is somewhere else in any other folder, for example your text file is in folder B and your program is stored in folder A, then in that case you need to provide here the full path. Otherwise, preferable is you need to store your text file in the same folder where your program is. Now this line can be broken down into two statements also. Like for example, we create an object of the file output stream and here we provide the name of the text file, and then we create the object of the printwriter class, and in the printwriter class we just pass the object of the file output stream. So this statement for opening a text file can be used this way or this way. So the goal is to create a printwriter object which should use the file output stream to open a text file, and file output stream connects the printwriter to a text file. Alright, moving ahead, a stream of class printwriter is created and connected to the text file. So printwriter takes the anonymous file output stream object as its argument. So this is the syntax. We create the object of the printwriter and here we pass the file name as the argument. Alright, so this produces an object of the class printwriter that is connected to the file name. The process of connecting a stream to a file is called as opening a file. So we are connecting a stream to the file. If the file already exists, if you have already the file with the same name, then whatever you write into the file, the old contents will be lost. So you will lose all old contents. But still, we have methods to keep the old contents also, which we will discuss later in the slides. Now, if the file does not exist, then a new empty file with that file name will be created, and after this you are going to use the methods print or println to write into the file. So just like system out, you can use the println methods. Alright, we have many more methods also, like print, format, flush and close. We are going to discuss more about this. Now, when text file is opened in this way, file not found exception can be thrown. So it means that file could not be created. So this type of exception can also be thrown when the program attempts to open a file for reading, but there is no such file. So file not exception has always to be thrown. So therefore it is necessary to enclose this code in the try and catch block, in the try block, and a catch block should be provided to handle that exception. Then the variable that refers to the printwriter object should be declared outside the block, outside whatever the object you are creating for the printwriter. It should be declared outside the try block and it should be initialized to null so that it's not local to the block. When you are done with writing into the file, you should always close the stream connected to the file, because this allows your system to release whatever the resources your program was occupying, so that those resources can be used by the other programs also. If the Java program does not close the file before the program ends, Java will close it automatically, but actually it is the safest way to close the file before you end your program. Output streams connected to the files are usually buffered. Buffered means the data will not be sent as, it will be sent as a continuous stream, but it will be stored in some memory location. So rather than physically writing to a file, data is stored in some temporary location of the memory, which is called as buffer. So when enough of the data accumulates in the buffer, only the method flush is invoked and the buffer data is written to the file as a block all at once. So this is more efficient since physical writes to a file can be slow. Now we have the method close and method flush. Method close invokes the method flush, ensuring that all the data is written into the file. If a program relies on the Java to close the file and the program terminates abnormally, then output was buffered and it may not be written into the file. Also, when the program is writing into a file and later on it reopens to read from the same file, that file needs to be closed first before you can open that file for reading the data. Sooner a file is closed after writing it to it, lesser are the chances that there will be a problem or there will be an error. Alright, so we have a program over here. I'm going to do the demo of this program also. I'm going to do the demo of this program also. So if you see over here, we have created the object of the printWriter class and initialized it to null before the start of the try block. This is what I mentioned in one of the slides over here. Okay, so printWriter object should be declared outside the block and initialized to null. Then inside the try block we pass the file name, we use the file output stream, so we open the file. So output stream should not be accessible to the rest of the method if it was declared inside the try block. So this will not be accessible to the other methods if you are going to declare it inside the try block. That's why we put it over here. Then catch block, file not exception is raised. So creating a file can cause the file not exception, and if new file cannot be made. So in this case what we are doing, if exception occurs, message will be displayed and then we are going to exit the system. Then after the catch block, whatever the data you want to write into the file, you are going to write it. So if you want to write 3 lines of text or whatever you want to write into the file, why we are using count method over here, either you can use one by one or you can use the count method. Okay, let me just make a program of my own, then I will explain this code to you. So let's start it. Okay, so let me start with the JCreator. I will choose the location from here, it's week 12. So I use file write demo. Alright, now here I need to import the classes. Since I am writing into the file, so my classes are, this is the question that I am going to explain it in my own, then I am going to explain the question which is given as an exercise in your book. So import java.io.printWriter, because I am going to use the printWriter. Then I will copy this. I need to have file output stream. Then I need to have a class, it's file not found exception. file not found exception. Alright, now let me make a class, public class file write demo, public static void main string args. Alright, so first of all I have to create an object of the print writer class before I start with the try block. So I will create an object of the print writer class here, print writer. You can give any name. Let me just make it pp is equals to none. Whatever you want, the name of the object, whatever you want to give. Alright, now I will make use of the try block, and in the try block I will use this object, and I will use file output stream print writer, and in the bracket new. There is no need to make any object of the file output stream. Please note it over here. File output stream, and in the bracket I am going to pass the name of the file whatever I want to create. So for example I want to have file1.txt. Alright, let me just show you my folder that I don't have this file. For example, this is week 12, I have this file only, I don't have any text file. Alright, so this will create a file. Now if you want to create a file somewhere on the desktop or in the My Documents, you need to provide a full path over here. Alright, so after going with the try block, I will have the catch block. I need to catch this exception. So file not found exception, and make the object. Then what I write over here, system.out.println e.getMessage and system.exit. What I do, I just exit out of the system. I don't want to perform any other thing. Now what I need to do, I need to write into the file. So what will I do? Object of my print writer class pp.println. Okay, this is our demo program for writing into a file. I want to write other line also, pp.println. In this example, we are using print writer class. Let me add something more also, println working with files in Java is easy. Alright, so these are the 3 lines. This is the data that I want to input in my file. After adding the data, whatever I want to have, I need to close the stream. So my stream object is pp dot. You can have any object, like in your book it's output stream. You can make any object. Then system.out.println. This is for myself. File writing completed. Let's just check it. Let me first of all compile it. Okay, no error. So file writing completed, because after writing into a file, that means my file has been created. I will show you, we will check the path, and and in that file these 3 lines will be written, and after writing the file has been closed, and this message appears over here on the console. So let me just go to my folder. If you see, a text file has been created. Previously there was no text file, file 1. Now when I open it, all this data has been written into the file, whatever I wrote into the program. So this is how to write into a program. Now if you see, I have written only 3 lines over here, so I have used 3 statements. Just imagine you want to write a 10-page document or a 100-page document. Are you going to use 10, 100 or 1000 times this statement? Of course no. That means you need to have some count or some loop, so that you can write it, or you can have a variable, or you can have a loop inside it. That was the first thing. I will do it. Now for example, if you want to create this file on the desktop, not over here. So for example, I have a desktop here. I don't have any file with the file 1, right? So let me just create. How to create it on the desktop? So what will I give? C. Now you need to have 2 backslash. My C drive, the full path is, how can I check the full path for the desktop? I will just go here, C drive, users, Tuli R desktop. So I can copy also from here. Okay, so this is the desktop. I will copy this path because I want to have it on the desktop. Alright, so I will write it over here, Tuli R desktop. Now instead of single slash, I need to have double slash over here. Double slash over here. And desktop, I think, yeah, and here also 2 backslashes. So this will create now this file 1 on the desktop, not in the same folder where I have my program. Let me just compile it. Done. Okay, so file has been completed. Let me check my desktop. I must have this file name, file 1. Let's check it. A, B, C, D, E. File 1. So I have the file 1 over here. The same file has been created on the desktop. So you can use it if you want to create it not in the same folder, rather than in any other folder. Alright. Now just imagine you want to write 10 lines or 15 lines of code. Instead of these 3 lines, you want to write some more lines. So are you going to use it? Like 10 times or 15 times or 100 times? Of course no. So that's why over here, when I go to the program, they have written string a line because they have initialized it to line. And they are taking the data from the keyboard. Now you are typing into the keyboard, and whatever you type in the keyboard, it will write into that file. Okay, now let's just check it out. I will write this. I will copy this code. I will copy this code from here until here. From here until this. Until here. Alright, now instead of using all these 3 lines, what we have done, first of all, we are showing the message, enter 3 lines of text, or enter 5 lines of text, or enter 10 lines of text, right? Now instead of writing all these 10 println statements, we are just writing it one time, and count is just displaying that this is for the first time, and then we are writing the data. So what we have an integer count to calculate whether we have written with the 3 lines or not. So we are starting with the loop. Then what we are doing, we are taking the data from the user from the keyboard. That means whatever the user types, it will enter it into the file. Alright. Then I just remove it, and instead of output stream I need to put pp over here because my object is pp. Alright, so now in this case what will be done, whatever I type into the keyboard will be taken from the keyboard, and 3 lines of text, or if I say like 5 lines or 10 lines I can do it, maybe 4 lines of text. Alright, now I'm using the same file, so what will happen now, whatever I had the previous data, it will be erased, and whatever the new data I enter, it will overwrite the file with the new data. Let's just try it. Keyboard. Okay, let me just check it. Okay, so because we are taking it from the keyboard, we need to have the scanner class. So import java.util.star or scanner, and I will create a scanner object over here. Scanner keyboard is equals to new scanner system.in. Alright, now what it will do over here, it will print the line number, and whatever the line I write, it will print it with that. But the disadvantage over here is one blank line will be left because of the method next line. Let's just check it out, and my previous data will be erased because I am using the same file. Either I can specify a different file, or I have the another method which we are going to discuss later in the slides. Okay, so let's just write the 3 lines of text. Welcome to the class of file input output. In this lecture, we are going to learn how to handle file input output. So I have 4 lines, right? File handling in Java is easy. So if you see, it has taken 3 lines. Now let's go to our file and check it. Do we have the previous old data, or there is only new data? Let's just check it out. So if you see, it has skipped one line. One line has been skipped because of the right line method, next line method. And if you see, it has taken both the lines. In this lecture, we are going to learn how to handle, and the last line, if you see, file handling in Java is easy. It has not been saved into the file. Alright, so the problem was because of the next line method. Now instead of next line, you might have studied in the Java 1 next line and next. If I use the next method, it will be fine. Alright, it will take 4 lines. Let me just do it again. Okay, this program is about file handling. Okay, why? Let me just do it again. Let me compile it again. File handling is easy. Yeah, it will not take the next method, it will just take only one word. it will not take full line. But let me just show you something. For example, if I just write something like this, ACSD. With this, it takes all the 4 words and it will write into the file all the 4 words. But it will just take only the characters. Next line method takes a complete line, but it skips one line. If you see, it skips one line. It makes the next line blank and all the data is not saved. So anyways, we will learn how to solve this problem in the next course of the slides. Alright, so our basic purpose is, if you want to write into a text file, you have multiple lines of text. Writing the statement println multiple times is not preferred. So you need to write something like this. Use a for loop and use this println statement inside the loop, and you can enter your data from the keyboard on the console, and this is the way then you have to use the scanner class. So this is about how to write into the file. This program explains about how to write into the file. Alright, moving ahead now. So let's discuss. Println method is used with 2 different output stream and the system out. So we have used println method with the system.out also, and we have used println method with the output stream also. Alright, when performing file input output, there are many situations in which file not found exception may be thrown, and many of these exception classes, they are the subclasses of the input output exception. So input output exception is a subclass of the exception, and the class IO exception is the root class for the variety of exception classes, for the variety of input output exception classes. These are all checked exceptions. We talked about this, we studied about this in the previous chapter. So they must be caught or declared in the throws class. Unchecked exceptions such as input mismatch exception, illegal state exception, no such element exception, which we have discussed in the last chapter, they are unchecked exceptions, and unchecked exceptions are not required to caught or declared in the throws clause. Now adding into the text file. So in the previous example, we have learned that whenever I try to enter something else into the file, my previous data is erased. So that should not be the case. Now if I want to add into the second file, add into the same file, now I must take the second argument and make it as the true when I am passing the file name. So for example, over here in our program, I take the next line method. And what I do when I have passed the file name, I just put it true. So whatever I have previously, it will be there, and whatever I write now, it will also be stored. So let's just try to do it. So previously, let me just show you my file. This is the file. It has ACSD. Alright. Let me just try to enter something more into this file. Good evening. This is a file handling program. File handling is easy. Completed. Let's just check it. If you see, I have the previous data and the new data is added. Alright, we will learn how to fix this problem in the due course in the coming slides. So this is how you can append into the file. Alright, so going ahead, after this statement, method print, println and printf can be used. New text will be written after the old text in the file. Alright, so moving ahead. Okay. So the toString method, as we know, toString method is used for the string representation of the object. If a class has suitable toString method and object is an object of the class, then it can be printed. It can be used as an argument with the system.out.println object, and it will produce the sensible output. So with this I can print an object of the class also. To add or append into the file, instead of replacing it, we can use true. This is what just I told you, second parameter. It will check whether the file exists or not. If the file already exists, then it will add into it, but if the file does not exist, it will create the file and add the data into the file. Alright, moving ahead. Output file should be closed when you are done writing into it, and input file should be closed when you are done reading from it. So this was about writing into the file. Use the close method of the print writer, and the buffered reader also has the close method. So we use the close method also. If the program ends normally, it will close all the files that are open. Now, why to bother whether to close a file? If a program automatically closes the files when it ends abnormally, so why should we bothered about closing a file? Two reasons. First thing is, we must make sure that it is closed because if a program ends abnormally, our file, if any of the file is left open, it can damage the data into the file. Also, a file opened for writing. If I have written something into a file and in the same program I want to read the data from the file, so that file must be closed before I can open it for reading. Although Java does have a class that opens a file both for reading and writing, but it should not be used in this text. So that's why we should close all the files. Now there are certain methods of the print writer class. So print writer, this is a constructor. It takes an object of the output stream. This is the only constructor. You may need some time to accept a file as the argument. Then the new print writer constructor is used in this way, then the blank file will be created, and if there is already a file name with a specified file name, all old contents of the files are lost. Then if I add true, it is appending the file we have learned just now. Println method, this argument can be anything, character, string or floating point number. It can be object also. So basically these are the print and the println methods. Printf method also, then closes the stream connection to the file, and flush, it flushes the output stream. So this actually what it does, it forces the actually physical write to a file of any data that has been buffered but not yet being written into the file. But normally you should not invoke the flush. Invoking a close, it automatically calls the flush method before closing the file. So you can invoke the close method. It's not recommended to use the flush method. That was about writing into a file. Now let's talk about reading from a file. So how to read from a file? Let's talk about it. So as we have just learned in the previous slides, for reading from a file we can use the scanner and we can also use the buffered reader. So we are going to talk about both these methods. First we are going to talk about scanner. Scanner can be used for reading from the keyboard as well as for reading from the file. We already know the use of the scanner. We use it for reading the data from the keyboard. Now in this case what you have to do, simply you have to replace system.in into the scanner constructor with the name of the file. So scanner, create an object of the scanner is equals to new scanner. You will use scanner with the file input stream, just like the print writer, you use it in combination with the file output stream. So file input stream, and here you will pass the name of the file. So method of the scanner class for reading input behave in the same way whether we are reading from the text keyboard or we are reading from the text file. For example, next int and the next line methods. Alright. So this is a program which reads an input from the text file, and we use the scanner class. So here we create an object of the scanner class. We initialize it to null, just like we created an object of the print writer class. We initialize it to null, and then here we create an object input stream is equals to new scanner, and here we pass the name of the file from where we want to read it. Then we use the catch block, and then we read the file. Whatever is there, we just store it into the variables and we store it into, because that file also has the numbers which they are using, and we use the next line method to go to the next line. So we are storing we are storing so because their file has both numbers and string, so these three statements, they are using it to read the integers and then they are moving it to the next line to read the string. Alright, so the three numbers that are read from the file are n1, n2, n3. The numbers are stored in these variables, and the lines that are read from the file is which is the line which is read from the file is which is the line, and then we close the input stream. So same thing, we can use it for reading from our file also. Let's just try to do it. Okay, I will make it file read demo, and we are going to use the scanner class. Alright, so what are the classes? Scanner, file input stream, and file not found exception. I will just copy few things from here. Okay, so the class is file input stream and a scanner, java.util.scanner. I will remove this. File input stream, and that's it. Now I just create my file. I create my class, public class file. I create public static void main string args. Then what I do, I create the object of the scanner class, scanner sc is equals to null. I initialize it to null. Then I create the try block, and sc is equals to new scanner, new file input stream, and here I will pass the since I have a lot of data, I will just read the first three lines from my program. Alright, so here I need to pass the name of the file, and the name of the file was, let me just check it from here, file1.txt. so file1.txt. Alright, so it's done. Okay, new scanner. Alright, then I write the catch block. I can copy the catch block from here. Okay, then I will just write over here. We can use end of file over here, which I will tell you later on. Reading the lines of text. Reading the lines of text. Alright, so I am reading the line. Actually, I should write it over here. Before I create an object of the scanner class, it's not good to write over here. I can write that whatever I am doing. Alright, now I know that my program has many lines of text. Let me just try to read 3 lines. String line 1 is equals to sc dot next line. Similarly, I will just read 3 lines. Line 2, whatever I read, I store it over here. Then what I do, I just print it. System.out.println line 1. Similarly, I will print line 2, line 3. Line 2, line 3. Then what I need to do, I need to close my input stream. I will close my input stream. So sc dot close. That's it. I finish it. Okay, I don't want to write any other thing. File read demo. REDA. Okay. Let's just read from the file. I'm just going to read 3 lines of text. So A, C and S. That was I wrote in the ACS. So now imagine if you have a file made of 10 pages or 100 pages. Are you going to store each line in different variables? Of course no. So we need to have some method, and that method is end of the file. We are going to use it in a while. So this is how you can read from a file using a scanner method. Alright, so if you see over here, so now we want to read this input from the text file using scanner. This is the data which is already there in some files, so we want to read this. Alright. So a program that tries to read beyond the end of the file using methods of the scanner will cause an exception to be thrown over here. Alright, so however, instead of having to rely on the exception signal, what we can do, for example, if you read at the end of the file, if you go at the end of the file, it will throw an exception. What does this mean over here? Let me just go back. That tries to read beyond the end of the file using methods of the scanner will cause an exception to be thrown. So for example, I have this file, right? I just make 3 lines. Alright, I remove all this data. I have 3 lines only. I go to this reading a program, I make another line. I know I have only 3 lines, not even a 4th line. So that means I am going beyond my file. My file does not have any 4th line, and I am trying to read a file. I am trying to read a line which my file doesn't have. So what will be done over here? Let's just check it out. Alright, so what will happen? It has not thrown the exception over here. Actually, it should throw an exception. It should cause an exception to be thrown over here. So there should be some exception which should be thrown over here. Let me just try to read another line also. Okay, let me just try to read it with this next, because I don't have 4 lines, I have only 3 lines. Okay, still it's okay. Let me just try to read some more lines. Line 4, and line 5 also. I have next line over here, and line 5. I don't have 5 lines. Let me check if it has saved or not. ACS. Okay. Alright. So if you see over here, no line found exception has been thrown over here, because I am trying to read the file, the lines which are not there in my file. So in this case, exception will be thrown over here. This is what we mean by this point over here. So in this case, what we have to do, instead of relying on the scanner class to signal an exception, what we can use the has next line or has next int method. If my file consists of integers only, I will use integer int method, has next int method. If my files has lines, I will use has next line method. So this lines can also be used, these lines can also, methods can also be used to check that next token to be input is suitable element of the appropriate type. Alright, so here we have used over here. Now if you see over here what we have done over here, if I go back, we have created an variable of string type, initialize it to null and count, and while our input stream has next line, it will keep on reading the next line and it will keep on printing. Let's try to do it. Now what will I do? I will add something more into this file. Alright, let me just try to do this. Okay, let me just try to do this, writing into the file. Let me try to write something more. Okay, so 3 lines of text. This is input stream print writer class scanner class, done. Alright, now I will use the same method, has next line method, to read with this file. So what will I do? I will copy that code first of all. Okay, I can no worries. Now in this program, basically what they are doing, they are reading from one file. If you see over here, they have both input stream and output stream. They have used both print writer and the scanner class. Scanner is for reading and print writer is for writing. So what they are doing, they are reading from one file and writing it to the another file. So if you see over here, they are reading from this file and then they are writing to the another file. But I am just going to read from the file and I will print it on the console over here, whatever the data we have. Alright, let's just try to do it. So what I do over here, string line is equals to null. I just initialize, and int count is equals to 0. So I will do the same thing. What I will do, while input stream sc dot has next line, n should be capital, next line. Alright, so what will I do? I will read it. Line is equals to sc dot next line, and what will I do? I will print it. System dot out dot println, and I will print it on the console. That's it. That's what I will do. In the program, what they are doing, they are reading the data from one file and then whatever data they have read, they are writing it to the another file. But I will read it and I will print it on the console. Okay, so the error is here. Alright. So if you see, this is all the data which is there in my file. Let me just check it, because so let me open it and let me open it. You can match whatever data I have it over here, the same data is printed over here. So this is how you can use the next int or next line method to check whether the end of the file has been reached, instead of making thousands of variables, and then because you may not know how long the file is. So this is one of the important way of doing it. Alright. So checking for the, now what they have done, they have read this from data from this file, and then after the program is run, they have stored it into this file. Anyways, we are going to do this also. You can use the hasNextInt method if your file has only numbers. For example, it is shown over here in this program. So hasNextInt. Now if you see what they are doing, they are adding whatever is in the number. So reading ends when the end of the file is reached, or the token if the int is not reached. So this 5 will never be read. Alright, so it will sum 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 3 7, 7 plus 2 9, 9 plus 1 10, and it will just sum the numbers. Alright, now methods in the scanner class, very important. Let's just discuss the methods. So public scanner, this is a constructor, and you pass the file name over here. Then you can make a constructor with the file object. You can have the nextInt method, hasNextInt, nextLong, similarly hasNextLong, nextByte method, hasNextByte, nextShort, hasNextShort, nextDouble. All the methods are similar. hasNextDouble if the string representation is double, and nextFloat to perform a string representation. Then next, and I have hasNext, nextBoolean. Not all these methods will be used. Yes, string nextLine will be used, returns the rest of the current input line. So /n is also read and discarded. hasNextLine is returned true if returns true if there is next line to be read. Use delimiter method, we are not going to use it. Alright, now the next class is the buffered reader class. So buffered reader is a stream class that can be used to read from a text file. An object of the buffered reader has the methods read and readLine. So these are the two methods which can be used with the buffered reader class, which is read and readLine. So a program using buffered reader, like one using, will start with a set of import statements. So we need to have buffered reader, file not exception, and IO exception. Print writer and scanner, like print writer and scanner, buffered reader does not have any constructor that takes the name of the file as an argument. So it is used with another class, which is the file reader, to convert the file name into an object that can be used in argument. So how to use it? We will create an object of the buffered reader class, and with the object we are going to use the file reader class, and we are going to pass the file name as the argument. Now it has read and readLine methods which can be used to read from the keyboard, but in this case it will read a file. readLine method used to read from the keyboard, it will read from a file, and a read method, it will read the single characters and it will return the integer that corresponds to the character read itself. So if read method does not return the character itself, you can use the typecasting also. So reading a file, how to using the buffered reader. So we are going to read a file. So first of all we create an object. We can do the same this in the same try block. Alright, so what we are going to, with the buffered reader, everything has to be done in the try block, right? But whereas in other cases you have to do read it or write it, read it after the catch block, but in this case everything has to be done in the try block. So we create an object of the buffered reader and we pass the name of the file. Then we use the readLine method to read the line, and we read the first line and we print it. We read the second line and then we print it and then we close it. And then we use the catch, file not found exception and input output exception over here, and that's our program is done. So if you see, all the reading is done in the try block only using a buffered reader. So this file using a buffered reader, so it's reading the 2 lines only from the file. Alright, but we have if we have more lines, and second, why we are throwing 2 kinds of exception, file not found and input output. Of course, file not found, because if we are opening a file which does not exist, file not found exception has to be thrown, and invocation of read line may throw input output exception. So with the buffered reader, because it provides read line and read methods, with the read line and read method we need to use IO exception. So both these exceptions should be handled when we are using the buffered reader method for reading from a file. So there are some methods for the buffered reader, you can go through it. Read line, it throws input output exception, and read also throws input output exception. Alright, now unlike the scanner class, the buffered reader has no methods to read a number. Instead, what you should do, a number must be read as a string and then converted into the appropriate numeric type. That means you need to do a typecasting. So to read a single number on a line by itself, first use the method read line, then use the integer.parseInt or double method to convert the string into a number. And if there are multiple numbers on a line, then you can use the string tokenizer class. Read line of the buffered reader class, it returns null when it tries to read beyond the next line. So a program can test for the end of the file by testing the value null. Now in this case it will return -1 when it tries to go beyond the end of the file. So here what you can do, is this is a program actually which reads the name of the file from the keyboard and uses the file from the keyboard and reads the data from the file. So if you see, we have used the scanner class, file name is equals to null. Outside the try block, we are going to read the name of the file from the user. So the user will enter the name of the file and it is stored in the variable file name. Then we are going to use the buffered reader and we are going to pass whatever the file name we have stored in the variable. Then as usual we are going to read the data. Now because we are reading only 2 lines, first line and the second line we have not shown over here. But what if our file has more number of lines? So we need to use not null, while line is not is equals to null method with the buffered reader. This does not have any has next int or has next line method, but it has line not equal to null. Alright, let's try to do the same program which we have used done with the scanner program to do it with the buffered reader program. Alright, let's just try to do it. Alright, let me create another program. File read demo1. Alright. Now in this case I need to have the classes. First of all, I am going to use with the buffered reader. I will use the same class. So io.bufferedReader, I don't need a scanner. io.bufferedReader. Buffered reader. Then what I need is file reader. I need file not found exception. I need input output exception. I need IO exception. Alright, let's make a class file read demo demo1. Alright. Alright, R is small here. Alright. So what we need to do, we need to create an object of the buffered reader class over here. Buffered reader buff. Whatever the object you want to do, make is equals to new buffered reader, and in the bracket I should have new file reader, and in the bracket I will pass name of the file, which was file1.txt. Alright, now whatever the file I want to read, whatever the data I want to read, I need to read it over here. System.out.println, reading the data from file. I'm not going to read it one by one, rather I will use the method checking for end of the file. Alright, so my reading will start over here. So what will I do now? I will create int count is equals to 0, string line is equals to buff dot read line. It will read the first line, so here it will read the first line. Now I am going to check for the next line. While line is not equal to null, what will I do? Count plus plus, it should go to the next line. Alright, then what it should do, I have read the line but I have not printed it. System.out.println line, it will read the first line. Count plus plus, it will increment the count, and what will it do? It will read the line. Line is equals to buff dot read line, and it will print also. System.out.println line. You can use the count also, or both. It's up to you how you do it. Alright, so this program has been done. I am done. Okay, I have to write everything in the try block. I forgot to mention the try over here. Alright, so everything needs to be done. This is my try block is closed. Now I need to have a catch block. So catch, and I need to have another catch block. If you see, IO exception, right? Catch IO exception E. System.out.println E dot get message, or you can give your own message also. Alright, done. If you see, closing the stream has also to be done in the try block, not after. So after reading from here, after I am done over here, I will, if you see over here, after the while block, I am going to close it. I am going to close the file. So what will I do? After it has been done, what will I do? I will close it. buff dot close. After reading from the file, I will close the stream. Alright, just like here we close the stream after like catch block, we need to close it inside the try block. So I am still inside the try block. Let's just try to do it. Okay. So reading the data from the file, so it has been reading. Why it has a null? While line is not equal to null. Okay. Yeah, because we have one more line, it's just printing the null character or reading the line also. So that's why. Okay. Alright, so this is how you can go ahead with the buffered reader method. Alright, so going ahead further, path names, as I told you, you can either save your file in the same directory, in the same folder where your program is, or otherwise you need to provide the path names, and with the Java over here you need to provide the double slash instead of the single slash. I already explained you in the first program. So that was all about the text files. Now let's start working with the binary files. So let's start with the binary files now. Binary files, they store the data in the same format used by the computer memory. So it stores the data in the machine form. No conversion is required to be performed when a value is stored or retrieved from the binary file. Java binary files, unlike other binary files, they are portable, and the binary file created by the Java program can be moved from one computer to the another. And these files can be read by only Java program, and only humans cannot read it. So again, we need to write into a binary file and we need to read from the binary file. So important classes for the binary file, they are object output stream and the file output stream. For writing, for reading, we have object input stream and file input stream. Now file output stream and file input stream, they are used only to provide the file name as arguments, just like in the text files, and object output and object input stream cannot take file name as the arguments. So we need to have java.io, all these are in the java.io.star. Now writing simple data into the binary file, object output stream is a stream class which you must need to use, file output stream and input output exception. Object input stream and object output stream have methods to read or write data 1 byte at a time, and it automatically converts the numbers and characters into the binary, and it stores the file more efficiently. Input means data into the program, output means data out of the program, not the file. So to open a file, you need to create an object of the object output stream and use the file output stream to take the name of the file as an argument. And you can split these lines into two, just like we discussed in the text files. Some of the methods are write int, write double, write boolean, which you can write into the binary files. Each write method throws IO exception, so we will have to write a catch block for it. And after each write method includes the modifier final. Final methods cannot be redefined in the derived classes as we know it. Alright, so moving ahead. Output file should be closed when you are done writing into it, so we use the close method, and we have already done it. Writing a character to the file, write char method has some annoying property. It takes an int, not a char argument, but it's easy to fix. So write char, you just take integer and convert it into the char. You need to have a conversion of it. When reading the data from the file, input binary files, they contain any of the primitive type. Files can be read by Java program, and we use object input stream, and IO exception can be thrown. Similarly, like the opening of the output file, file name has to be given as a string, so we use file input stream with the object input stream to provide the argument. So basic syntax of providing the name is the same, just like the text file. Now it has methods read int, read double, read boolean, and each method throws an IO exception also. So here we have a program which uses end of the file to read the data from the binary file or to read the data from the binary file. Alright, so we create an object input stream. We are reading from the file, and the file has integers. So while true, and we are reading the data integers and storing it into the variable n, and it will and we are printing it. Then what we do, we catch it end of file exception, and then we print and from reading the file, and we close it. So intentional infinite loop to process the data from the infinite, so it's an infinite loop. Then file not found and catch input out IO exception. Order of the catch blocks, the most specific is first and the general should be in the last. So this was all about the binary files. I have few programs regarding the binary files which I have made. Alright, let me just give you the programs. Okay, let me just open my programs, and I will give you those programs. Okay, so I have, okay, so this is the first program. Let me just copy all these programs, because otherwise okay, or it can create it over, wait, let me just copy these programs, and I make a folder over here, binary files, and I will put it over here. I will remove this file, dat file, because we are going to create it. Alright, so let's open it. So what we are going to do here, we are just writing the numbers from 1 to 5 in this file. So we have object output stream, because object output stream is used, and our name of the file is hi, and we are writing the numbers 1 to 5. We have written in the for loop, and we are using the write int method. After this, we will close the stream, and then we will catch the IO exception. So let's just check it out, what it does. Write int method will write the integers into the file. Alright, let me just go to my program. If you see, a file has been created, but I can't read this file. Alright, so I can't read this file because it's a binary file. Let me open another. So this is how to write into a binary file. We use the write int method. I open another program. I open another program. Test 2. Now in this case, I am reading two integers. I am reading the file which I have created. So I am just reading only two numbers from that file, because otherwise if I want to read whole file, I need to use some method end of the file, and I have used file not exception and input output exception. So I am reading two numbers and storing it in the variables, and then I am printing those variables. So read int method is used over here. So I just wrote the numbers from 0 to 5, and it is printing 0 to 1. But it's not a good method. Let's just try to do something more. Now I can use the read, if my file has double numbers, I can use the read double method, but my file does not have the, that's why it is saying read double will give a loss of precision, because I don't have the double method. So if your file has a double numbers, you can use the read double method. Another example. Alright, instead of using reading the numbers one by one, I can use the while loop. So it will check for end of the file, and unless and until end of the file has reached, it will keep on reading the numbers. Alright, so so if you see, I have a nested try block. Now when I am reading it, I put it another try block, and with this try block I have used the end of file exception, because with this end of file exception will be thrown. And with the outer try block, two catch blocks are matched, file not found and the input output exception as usual. So it is going to read our first file, which has the numbers from 1 to 5, 0 to 5 I guess. Alright, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So no more numbers in the file. So this is a better method to read the data from the binary file. So what you need to have it in the loop. Alright, I have another few methods also, how to read a character, how to read a string, write a character and write a string. So first of all, I will open write a character, because unless and until we write a character, we cannot read it. So in case of writing a character, we can't write a line, we can write only a character. So we just we use the method write_char, and then whatever the character we want to write it into the file, we just use it. Alright, let me just run it. My file name is writecharacter.dat. Let me go over here. So my file is writecharacter. I can't read from here. Okay. Now let me just go to my program. I will open how to read this character. How to read this character. Alright. So how to reading it? We will use object input stream, and we will read the character and store it in some character variable and then print it, and then we are going to close the stream. Alright, so we wrote A, we can read A. Now how to read and write a string? So first of all, we are going to write a string. So I have the file hi.dat, and I am going to write, for writing a string, I will use the method writeUTF method. So strings are written by using the writeUTF method. I have written hello. Let's just check it. So it has been done, because I won't see any output. So it has been done over here. Hello, but I can't read any other things. Alright. For example, if I want to write more string, x.writeUTF, how are you? Alright, so I have written 2 lines. I will read it also. So let me just open. I don't know, I can't read it, right? Okay, now let's just open read string. So what I have done over here, I have read a string and stored it in the string variable and then printed it. Similarly, I will read another string, because I have 2 strings, or I can use the while loop also. Better way is to use while loop. Don't do reading and writing this way. Alright. So better to go with the while loop. So we will use the read UTF method for reading a string. So this is all about how to handle the files, how to read and write from the files. You will have a lab exercise based on that, and in the next class I am going to solve the questions of the lab class for our practical. So thank you so much.